How do poker players try to get ahead in their games in an unfair manner? How do they cheat? How do they angle shoot? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. What's up YouTube? Welcome to my poker channel. My name is Andreas and on this channel I talk about poker news, poker life and poker strategy. So if you like that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to not miss a video. One of the biggest poker cheats right out of the gate is going to be marked cards. This is going to be one of the most successful cheats of all time in poker. And this is also the reason why you see poker dealers spread out all the cards on the table at the beginning and just checking all the cards and whether they have some marks on them. And you also have the opportunity to basically look at the cards and whether something's wrong with them. Another big cheat historically is going to be a setup deck that gets brought to the table that's stacked in a way that one player, maybe player 4 at the table, is going to lose all his money. And also to avoid that, it's good to basically see all the cards at the beginning, that they're stacked in a normal order, and obviously to have shuffle machines. The third form of poker cheating, and this is almost an art, is dealer cheats. If you watch the interview of Richard Turner, I can post a link in the description below, then you will see that he is a card mechanic that can literally deal you a specific card off the deck, and he doesn't even see. He's blind. It's absolutely insane how if somebody is trained well enough with the cards, that it can basically set you up to lose a big hand. Cheat number 4 is using a bot to play online poker for you. This goes without saying, but these bots have pulled out millions out of the online poker ecosystem, and they're sometimes very difficult to detect. Cheat number 5 is for the most part going to be an online poker thing, and that's card sharing and collusion. Most commonly, you can find these on poker apps such as PokerMaster, that was very typical, but in general, Chinese players have used that also in 7-card stud on PokerStars. Cheat number 6, I call it pulling a Mike Postle. Just have a live stream setup where you just know all the other hole cards and act like you're a god. Now we go over to the angleshoots, and the sad thing about angleshoots is that sometimes there's just nothing you can do about them. People just get away with them. And the first thing I want to mention here is the announcing what you want the other player to do. So for example, let's say you play 10-20 pot limit Oma, or no limit hold'em, but typically pot limit Oma, this is used. You raise it to 70, one guy calls, and now you have a short stack there, and you see that he sits with 300-ish or 500 even. And then you're like, repot or something like that, right? Just trying to induce that he will put in the 300. So you as the pre-flop raiser who has aces a lot, surprise, surprise, can 4-bet over the top so you can basically scam the guy who has flat called for 70. Happens quite a lot actually. Another potential angleshoot is hiding chips. And no, I don't mean Alec Torelli here, but maybe some of my Austrian viewers have heard about the guy in Velden who hid a large denomination chip in his palm so that he could get a cheaper call. And, quite fortunately, he got caught in the end. Next up is going to be the run it twice angleshoot. Be careful when you play with not so gentleman-like older men in Barcelona. If you Google Ansky and EPT Barcelona, you will see a story where Ansky ran it twice with an older Spanish player. And what ended up happening is that after the Spanish older player won the first board of run it twice, he said that he only meant to run it once and he doesn't understand English. So he scammed Ansky out of the second run, which would have favored him because the dealer still dealt it out, but he insisted with the manager that he only wanted to run it once and scammed Ansky that way. The next angleshoot is going to be an overrule for something like a string bet, for instance, and I'm going to tell you how a regular a couple of years ago pulled that shit on me. So the hand history went something like this. He raised, I flag call ace-9 suited, and an older guy calls as well. Flop comes 9-7 deuce rainbow. He continuation bets. I just call, and now an older gentleman, he takes all his chips and he's trembling and he splashes it in the middle. And yeah, to be honest, the movement of that all-in wasn't that smooth, but it was very, very, very obvious that he wanted to go all-in, right? And it wasn't like just one single chip dropped out of his pile and it was a string bet. It was clearly not. And then, of course, the first regular, he much rather wanted to it being a call because he was holding 7-8 suited. And he had middle pair 9-7 deuce, so quite frankly, he didn't want me to have an option to then come over the top again and basically re-raise, because he couldn't call the all-in, but he wanted to see a free turn card. And as it came out, the turn card was a 7, so he made trips and ended up winning the pot. So that was a quite nasty one. The next angleshoot, I'm going to call it the Big M angleshoot, happened somewhere in Middle America while I was dealt in a hand. So pots 700, and Big M, he announces pot, and the dealer says 700. So another guy, he calls him because he thinks he has the better hand, and I muck my hand. And so I see Big M sliding out 6 black chips, which is 600. And the dealer takes the 600, wants to give it to the other guy. And I look at them and like, dude, that's only 600. What the fuck, right? So he basically pulled back the 100 without the dealer noticing. And yeah, quite a nasty angleshoot. I called him out on it, and he actually started insulting me that I wasn't in the hand. Like, I was in the hand. That's why I even noticed it to begin with. So he called the other poor guy, who, by the way, I met again and again on in Vegas and in Barcelona as well. And it's like, what the fuck was he doing? Just outright angle shot him for $100. The next really big angle shoot is folding out of turn. And here the problem usually lies with the intention. If you watch the Sam Soverel hand that I talked about a couple of months ago, a year ago, last year at the WSOP, then we cannot really prove his intention, but nonetheless, it's a very tricky angle shoot that some people can pull in high stakes games that can net them a lot of money if they don't get punished for it. So maybe watch that other video if you wanted to know more about this angle shoot. The next one is going to be what I call the Antiheadphones angle shoot. Some people think that they're quite smart, so they see people with headphones and they know that they are not really hearing what they say, right? So let's say the pot's 1500 in the middle and they're playing no limit hold'em and they want to go all in. So instead of going all in and putting in 1 chip or all the chips, they put in 3 chips while announcing to the dealer, maybe if they even want to be more of a dick, they say it very quietly and look at the dealer and say, yeah, I'm all in. And then while basically just putting out 3 chips or 2 chips or 4 chips, just that it would make sense as a small value bet as well, so that the guy with the headphone ends up calling the all-in while thinking he would only call 2 to 400. I think this kind of dick moves needs to be punished a lot more by not only tournaments but also cash coin directors. If they happen, it's clearly a malicious angle shoot, and we would be way better off without these guys in poker. This is also a nasty one. Instead of saying call, you say clock, right? It's very similar. Next to hiding chips, you can also be hiding your cards, and most of the time that's not going to be intentional. I think most people, they accidentally put their hands over the cards, and it's not really them being scumbags or anything. But I would also argue that a minority does that exactly for that reason. They want to just scam the people who are not paying attention at the poker table, trying to cover their cards so that other people will muck before them, so that they can gain a pot without really having the best hand. Also, to round things up, there's a couple of smaller ones. For example, grabbing the dealer button when you're in the small blind, so you avoid posting the small blind. I don't think you can get away with it in the big blind, but some people do that. Keeping the dealer button when it's not really your dealer button and it should have moved on to the next player. There's going to be angles on time rake. For example, if you have to post a time rake because there's a time flop, that's something that you do in Vegas and in other venues where the dealer draws 1 card, and if it's a certain number, then you have to give the rake for all the players for the time rake. So for example, in a 5, 10, 25 game, that could be 6 times or 8 times 12, 84, right? So, but the angle shoot works in a way that the guy comes back and says, well, I didn't mean to do the time flop. I wanted to post my time individually. So in the end, he doesn't have to sometimes pay the $84, but he ends up paying the $12, and the next guy picked by the time flop has to pay the rake. So that definitely happened last year. Some guy scammed the table for $70. It's a small thing, but people pull that kind of shit all the time. Seat hopping excessively will be another thing, so that you avoid the big blind and you don't have to post the big blind in some venues. I mean, that's obviously scummy as well. It's a small thing, but it adds up over time. Alright, it's a bit scary how much I came up with in this video. If you appreciate my efforts to put out these ways of how people get ahead of themselves in poker through cheating and angle shooting, drop a like here, it really helps out this channel. And also, again, I want to remind you, if you like my videos, why not subscribe? It's free, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss the next video. Thank you for watching.